This is an AIWA SP590. It dates from 1995 and the idea is to see if it still works or not. I found this thing during a Minnesota clean-up week. That's where people throw things out and then other people come along in the cars and try and salvage what might be salvageable. So I found this in 2007, never tried it, and I know that because I spent 10 minutes trying to find out where the battery's going. But what I'm going to do is see if it works first of all, and then try and fix what doesn't. And along the way, we'll have some AIWA history, because it's always been a very, very interesting brand to me that I've known nothing about. And perhaps design choices too, because what are these for? You're supposed to put that round your wrist or something. Anyway, let's have a look at the battery section and start the thing up. So on the front we've got strange things like exercise written as well. What does that do? To open it up, we've got to turn this dial to the open. There we go. There's the inside. That's where the batteries go in, and there's a cover over the top, and you can see why. I couldn't find out where to put them in. Normally you put batteries in the side somewhere or the back. Nope, inside the cassette bit. So that's those in. Okay, now that the batteries are in, I've seen radio on off written here. Yeah, okay. Oh, okay, 5:30. AM 5:30. Okay, preset 1. So I guess there's 2. Yep, different presets. Oh, okay, yep. And what happens there? 106.5, that'll be FM. I want to press this thing and see what it does. Exercise. What can it be? Oh, there's a little fella turned up. Look, in that top right. And it's got what? Walk. Set weight pounds. What is this? I don't know. Anyway, that what I'll have to do is to put some speakers on, and I'll do that later on. But yeah, it seems to power up, doesn't it? So the next thing will be to look at the cassette mechanism, because I'm quite worried about the belts really. Let's have a quick look at that. So if I open it, there we have the cassette part, and I'm going to be looking for the wheels moving. I don't know if I've got a cassette tape to try it, even if it does work, but there's play. Oh yes, things are whirring. Oh, that's good news, because the belts normally go on these things. Okay, don't know where stop is. Right. Fast forward. Oh, nothing. Okay. Rewind. Well, that's trying to move. So there may be a belt in there that's just loose. Okay. Yeah, so I'll have to open it up, I think, and see if we can take a look at that belt. It is about now that we could do with the history section while I get this opened.
AIWA were founded in 1951 in Japan as Aiko Denki Sangyo Company Limited. They first made microphones at their factory in Taito, Tokyo. Now, where have we heard the name Taito before? How about Space Invaders? Anyway, back to AIWA. Their name was changed in 1959 to AIWA Company Limited. Along the years, up to 1982, Sony had bought a 54.6% stake in the company, or in other words, majority control. At that time, they were known for Walkman-type headphone stereos, mini-component stereo systems, portable stereo systems, mini-disc players, CD and cassette players, and car stereos. Notable firsts had been the first Japanese cassette recorder in 1964, the TP-707. Japan's first radio cassette recorder, the TPR-101, in 1968, and according to Wikipedia, in 1980, AIWA created the world's first personal stereo recorder, the TPS-30. That's kind of an odd one, considering the Walkman was a Sony product which was released on July 1st, 1979, and it was based on the Pressman from a year earlier, which could record. Well, it seems Sony considered the brand to be a healthy competition, and after all, they owned over half of it. Throughout the 1980s, some of us may remember how AIWA were a strong brand with good quality products. Something I didn't know was that they opened a plant in South Wales in 1980, which is likely why I remember them so strongly in the 80s in England. However, during the latter half of the decade, sales began to dip and there were big changes needed behind the scenes. Sony reduced the amount of AIWA employees, mostly through early retirements, and had joined several offices together into a single headquarters in Tokyo. That all streamlined the company, and those changes brought it back to being profitable. In the 1990s, they were well known for combo TVs and VCRs. They had 30% of the market share. They also did hi-fis and tuners. One main point about them was how they were thought of as Japanese, but around 90% of their manufacturing was done outside of Japan. Success continued to the end of the millennium, bringing household stereo equipment to market that was well made and reliable. However, at the turn of the millennium they messed up because they ignored DVD and internet features, and that meant a loss of $500 million. So, Sony took control even more, closing down a bunch of factories and putting distribution under their outlets. Even that didn't go too well, and Sony removed the brand completely in March of 2008. Really, AIWA were competing with the emerging and successful LG and Samsung for the same customers. The old AIWA had gone. But in 2015, the brand was relaunched after the rights were bought by Hale Devices Incorporated in the USA. Toyota Audio also began making audio products again with the AIWA name. It's more of a franchise though, with the name being licensed to other companies around the world. Good companies, mind you. Toyota Audio have been used by Sony to manufacture some of their devices over the years. Now, back to my SP590 on the table.
Here it is with the wrist strap thing taken off on the left there, and the back of the case as well. And you can see that this one suits the history. It was made in Indonesia. So there's the back of the main board. Next thing, just got to take the screws out and then we can have a look at the mechanism, and especially the belts. Right, I can't really take this all the way off because, well, there's the cable at the back, you can see the orange, and there's one on the left. But we can see that it appears to be just one belt, and it must be just somewhat loose. You see how it goes around more like the inside of a car perhaps, and lots of different things all connected up. I think it might just be loose. Yeah, you might be able to see on the back left is the motor, and then it comes forward to this capstan thing here, along around that part, around that big wheel there, back down around that other big wheel, and back round to the motor. But it does feel very loose, and you can see it move there. So I think the best option would possibly be to order one. Now I know what it looks like, if there's any available. Another idea is to boil it, is to boil the belts in hot water, but I may end up in hot water myself because I don't have a spare belt. At least I know it does play. Right, I've got it back together. I've not got that arm thing on it. I thought I'd have a quick look at the radio, put the speakers on, power speakers. I found out they're going up and down like that. That can also tune in. Switch it over to there. Yep, there's one station. There are a couple of other functions in the what I call the radio section. It's got band written on it anyway. So what we've got is the AM, the FM. Press it again and we get TV. And over in the US there's channels 2 to 13 on the old analog TV. And you could pick up the audio on this. Of course, when they were broadcasting. There we are. And also weather, WTHR, 7 channels, presumably for weather information. So there we are, more really strange but great functions. Now let's have a look at the exercise function. What I have found out is if I turn this to open and I open the lid, there we go with the instructions on what to do. So, returning it to the lock position, that strange thing, let's have a look at exercise. So, press it. Right, there we go. And yeah, it comes up with walk. Press it again, and it goes over to jog. And now it says weight in pounds. So, I'll set my weight, it's roughly around there, I think. Probably there, don't know. Right, and press set. Then it says pitch. I mean, what's that? Is that the way you lean when you run or something? I'll pick 3. I'll be usual and regular and normal for that one. Press set. Now, stride in inches. What in the world? Let's go 60. I don't know, I'll have a larger stride than 50. I'll press that again. And now we can start. So here we are. So you put that thing on your wrist, you put the attachment on the back, you start jogging, and I've burned so far 3 calories. He's got kcal, and the little guy is running, and he's got half a leg. No, he's got, I don't know what he's doing, more like jumping. Oh, good heavens. But yeah, apparently, what are we doing there? 8, 9 calories. I've also found out, if I press exercise again, whoops, there we go. Right, so apparently I've burned 11 calories and I've done 0.1 miles of jogging. How utterly bizarre is this thing? Wow. Well, that is the highly quirky SP590 from AIWA. I do hope you've enjoyed this video, and especially the history section. I know I learnt a lot. Thanks very much for watching, and see you next time.